Hello and welcome to the Fierce Urgency of Now in Today's Schools podcast. I am Dr. Cynthia Mama J. Johnson, a voice of hope in education, and I will be your host. Thank you as always for joining me for another episode. Before we jump in, let me remind you why we gather. The Fierce Urgency of Now in Today's Schools podcast is dedicated to disrupting, interrupting, and dismantling barriers to changing student outcomes. Our students need us now more than ever before, so we've got to come together to determine what is necessary to meet students where they are. Don't leave them there, but to elevate them to a whole new level. Well, I want you to know my guest today is doing the work every single day. You can see it in his post. I'm not even in the New York area, but I feel it right here in the Midwest, all of the work that he's doing to change lives. So please help me welcome Rashid Ferrod Davis right here to the Fierce Urgency of Now in Today's Schools. Welcome.
Thank you, Mama J, for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to share on this platform.
Well, thank you. You know what? I'm going to take just a couple, just a minute or so to tell just a little bit about you. I've got so much, but I want you to tell your story.
Sure.
It says that Rashid Ferrod Davis is the founding principal of Pathways in Technology Early High School. It stands for P-Tech. So go ahead and get that down in your spirit. You're going to hear about P-Tech today. And most importantly, you're going to hear about and see how P-Tech is changing lives, dispelling myths. And Mr. Davis will tell us more about that. P-Tech opened up in 2011. P-Tech is grade 9 through 14, and it's a model and a pathway from high school to college to career in industry. Long before all these schools and districts that were doing this work, Mr. Davis, Rashid Ferrod Davis was doing this work way back in 2011. So, Mr. Davis, tell us a little bit about the work that you've done.
So the work that I do falls under the umbrella of public-private partnerships, career technical education, early college, STEM education. But even though we started in 2011, the conversation actually began in 2010 from Mayor Bloomberg at the time, who wanted an opportunity for New York City students to partner with IBM. And so that's really how the germination of that public-private partnership began. And so I was already working in the New York City Department of Education as a principal of Bronx Engineering Technology Academy. And it's important because my upbringing is from the rural South.
Okay.
And in South Carolina, I was at a high school that started in grade 8. High minority high school. I'm considered first generation college going. But I had teachers who required me to have access to advanced placement curriculum. And so it was the love of educators that really have changed my life and propelled me, but also the love of family. My family surrounded me with love. And so the idea of poverty really was not in the same sense that I know now as an educator.
Right.
Because when you have love and when you have people who tell you that you could do anything humanly possible, you don't think about the labels that systems have on you.
Right.
I didn't go to bed hungry. I didn't have, as much as other people, but I had love and I had understanding and I had people who were always rooting in my corner. And so those elements of relationships and a sense of overcoming were with me as a young child. I had the duality of spending time in South Carolina and New York City from my middle school through my high school years. Literally, I would bounce back and forth. First grade, South Carolina, second grade, New York City, third grade, South Carolina, fourth grade, New York City. I did that until 8th grade.
Wow.
And that and going to the Bronx, which is one of the the poorest districts actually in the country.
Right.
I saw how people really did the most with what other resources were available.
Right.
And that becomes incredibly important. So I'm now completing my 29th year in education, but I've spent the last the last 20 in high school leadership specifically. And so my first high school, Bronx Engineering Technology Academy, it was about giving students with no academic screening, majority Hispanic males, access to curriculum, rigorous curriculum that would prepare them for life after high school.
Right.
And so that was really the ground I didn't understand then, but it was Bronx Engineering Technology Academy partnered with Manhattan College School of Engineering and Turner Construction as an industry partner. It was a new small schools with New Vision School support that was started by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
Yes.
And in November of 2008, we had the opportunity to host Melinda Gates for a visit.
Okay.
Now, in no way humanly possible did I think I would go from hosting Melinda Gates in 2008 to being a member of the design team and founding principal of an early college with a STEM focus and industry focus. And only because the Bill and Melinda Gates were also instrumental in spreading early college across the nation.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so the elements of PTech really for me have been ongoing
Yes.
since the early 2000s. So by the time I came to join the design team as founding principal, I came with a sense of urgency. So the whole idea of the title, the fierce urgency of now,
Yes.
I knew that partnered with college and industry, I could give students access to advanced rigor but also that pathway of high school, college completion, so that way they could be first in line for jobs with our industry partner, IBM. And what's great, we started in 2011. We're currently in 15 states and 28 countries.
Woo.
And nothing really has spread as fast as we've known it in terms of as a both a secondary and post-secondary education reform initiative.
I'm telling you, I know more, even more now. But just the parts that I would read on LinkedIn, just the parts that I would see from your little snippets and videos, your shorts that you would do, this is groundbreaking work. And what is so beautiful about it is that I hope my audience members will hear the story and
Mm-hmm.
see the journey that is taken to get you to this point right now. Like you said, it's been 20 some years that you've been in the high school level
Mm-hmm.
working in leadership, but all these years that you have worked now putting P-Tech together and how it has spread, not just here in the United States, but throughout the world.
Yes.
That is absolutely beautiful. So I want to
Mm-hmm.
jump into our very first question because I want you to know
Sure.
I can listen to you forever. I just want you, I want to put that officially on the record. The,
Thank you.
the first question is, what brings you to the work of educating today's youth and what keeps you doing the work?
Mm-hmm. Um, you know, I'm brought here not by choice but by design. And it really is that pathway of educators from the rural South, Wagon Branch specifically in Ridgeland, South Carolina, showing
Yeah,
me what was possible, holding me accountable
right.
for being able to do more and expecting me to do more.
Yes.
And so before I attended Morehouse College, I had access to 16 male educators, 16 Black male educators.
Okay. Wow. Wow. Woo!
Yeah,
A tambourine on
16,
that.
16
Wow.
Black male educators that include teachers, guidance counselors, principals, superintendent, and a chairman of a local school board.
Wow.
So Black male excellence was second nature to me. And
Right.
Black male excellence in education, Black male excellence in the classroom. So it was a different reality when I stepped on the foot on when I stepped on Morehouse's ground.
Yeah.
So I didn't have to go to Morehouse searching for Black male excellence.
Right.
Black male
Right.
excellence was already entrenched in me. And I only went because of Dr. Martin Luther King's quote and knowing that he was a graduate. If I can help someone as I pass along, then my living would not be in
Woo!
vain.
Come on
And
now.
so I came to this work. I see it really as my protest. Every single day that I show up, I'm protesting. I'm protesting to try to make sure that students in high poverty, high minority schools have access to not advanced placement, but to early college and to pathways that end in a completed 2-year free STEM degree with first in line job opportunities with my industry partner, which is IBM. And so the outcomes are generation changing. When you take students who are coming from free and reduced lunch realities, having
Yes.
zero debt to finish a free 2-year degree, and then they could start making 50 to
Wow.
$80,000 with zero debt, it is an opportunity to break the cycle of poverty.
Yes. Yeah. Wow. Wow. That's mind-boggling to think that all those years ago, the work that you did and where we are back in 2010 and where we are 15 years later,
Mm-hmm.
and how it's still changing lives.
And changing my life,
Yes, yes, yes,
and
yes.
changing my life.
Well, and I'm just going to go so far since I have my blue on today in different shades. I'm P-Tech today
Absolutely.
because
Yes.
I'm just saying this to you because it not only is it changing students' lives, your lives, and as well as family lives, it's changing my life because it's a reminder to me what is possible in the midst of impossibilities.
Yeah.
So many people say, oh, that can't be done. Well, I don't think we're going to be able to do that. Why not?
Right.
Why?
Mm-hmm.
Why? Um, is it not possible for students that come from low socioeconomic households? Low socioeconomic households does not mean that I have low goals
Correct.
or expectations.
Right.
I
Yes.
came from
Mm-hmm.
low socioeconomic status, but my
Yes.
mama and daddy said to me, "You can make it.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Right.
You
Yes.
can overcome the inability to speak correctly. You can overcome the inability to read. You can learn how to speak correctly,
Yes.
and we're going to show you how to do that."
Absolutely.
And then
Yes.
going through school, I didn't have all those role models like you had. Woo!
Mm-hmm.
16,
Yeah. Yeah.
16. Oh
Mm-hmm.
my gosh.
Yeah. And so I
Mind
do
blowing.
really have an abundance of
Yes.
the belief that, and my school are majority Black males. And so I'm like, well, no, you can't tell me what they can't do.
Right.
I know what's possible, and
Right.
I won't accept anything less. I won't accept anyone to have that mindset. Deficit thinking is really, really important for leaders to debunk and
Yes.
to really believe that every single child can, with given the right support and opportunity, not only survive but
Yeah.
thrive.
Thrive. Woo. Woo. I'm trying to get myself together here today because this is a lot to take in. This is a message
Mm-hmm.
that we need here in the United States right now, right here, right now. People
Mm-hmm.
need this. People need to hear and
Yeah.
face and grapple with the fact that some of you have deficit thinking.
Yeah.
Some of you see Black and brown children and you immediately come up with this thought about, oh, they can't do this or they can't
Mm-hmm.
go there. Can't.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's not in my vocabulary.
Right.
It
Mm-hmm.
can be done. It will be done
Yes.
in the right circumstances with the right support. So
Yes.
let me jump into our next question.
Sure.
From your lens,
Mm-hmm.
what is the fierce urgency of now in today's schools?
The fierce urgency of now, specifically, is when you look nationally, um, and you look at the reality of states having access to give their students college before they finish high school.
Uh-huh.
The percentages range from 6% to 57%.
Okay.
Idaho leads the nation as of 2022,
Okay.
2023, with 57% of their high school students
I didn't know that.
making up the community college population.
Okay.
Okay. But the fierce urgency of now is to know that we've been doing this work of pathways of not just giving students access, but
Right.
expecting STEM degree completion
Woo.
in
Woo.
grades 12, 13, and 14. And so the fierce
Yes.
urgency of now is to go beyond advanced placement, is to go beyond dual enrollment, and to say college should actually be completed in high school
Yes.
because we know it's possible.
We
And so
know it's possible.
the fierce urgency of now in this AI world that we are preparing for is that
Right.
students need more education sooner rather than later. And I
Woo.
say that when you can accelerate learning, you can accelerate equity. And because we are able to show with no academic screening and no test for admissions, students who start in ninth grade can actually earn the first 2 years of college by grade 12. So then technically you could have a 20-year-old with a bachelor's degree.
Right.
So you have to be intentional and strategic. So this grade 9 through 14 model have shown me that we're ready to take the 9 through 14 to extend it to a 9 through 16. I want to be able to have students leave with a free bachelor's degree because 10 years ago in 2015, students showed me that they could actually finish college before graduating high school.
Wow. 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 To take it to year 16, that's what it's all about. That's what the goal of this podcast is. It goes from pre-K to year 16.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, there is so much there. And like you said, there is a fierce urgency.
Yes.
Right
yes.
now.
Right now.
This is a model, like I said, this Pathways model was years ago. You put this together and how you're continuing to move it forward, not all at once, because you can't do it all at once.
No,
but how you're focused in on the work, and now we have results. I love the fact that you didn't just stop at we're going to give you access. No, you have access, and the expectation is for you to complete.
Yes.
Now, that's a whole new mindset, because some people just stop at access.
Yes. Most people also, and I say, that's why I say the dual enrollment conversation gets murky, because we've shown now that STEM college completion can happen with no academic screening and no test for admissions. We've completed now 8 cohorts of students here in Central Brooklyn, and 70% of them have successfully passed the college course, and 35% of those students have walked away with a free degree within 2 years after 12th grade.
Wow.
So we know what's possible. So I can't accept just having a conversation around access, specifically when we know in rural parts of America, there isn't as much business commerce. So you have to move faster in many places. Every place else, I mean, the streets are 24 hours. The hustles are 24 hours. Education is less than 8 hours of the child's day. So we are already behind the 8 ball. So we're competing against time and losing them because everything else is longer than the actual contractual education workday.
Yeah, that is so good. So, oh my gosh. Okay, so I mean, there's so much I want to say to that, but I'm gonna go to the next question, and we can maybe jump into it here in just a few minutes, because I want to get this last question. And I revised this question just listening to you today. Okay, I don't want you to know. What are you willing to disrupt, interrupt, or dismantle to ensure that students have access, opportunities to complete high school and beyond so they can thrive?
I'm willing to first and foremost disrupt my own comfort. And as a leader, I can't be comfortable with my definition of success. Yes, I'm college educated. Yes, I'm now 29 years in a career. But if I'm not making it possible for hundreds, if not thousands more, to do more than what I've done, then it's not enough for me. So I must disrupt, and I must help other adults disrupt their comfort of success, to be constantly making others successful around them, other adults successful around them, but also helping those adults to create pathways for the younger generation. So it's not just about P-TECH being a model for high school students, because we have, you know, as I mentioned, 15 states and 28 countries. Think about the adult workforce that it takes to run those P-TECHs. So we now have created another ecosystem when you look just at the adults who are employed, working and providing opportunities for these students. So it's not just about opportunities for young people, but it's about opportunities for adults to continue growing into their best selves as well.
I'm telling you, I don't know if this needs to be a movie. I don't know if it needs to be a documentary. I don't know if messages needs to be sent to every school in the United States and then throughout the world, but people need to hear this. It's even more, it's almost overwhelming to think about all the things that's taken place
Mm-hmm.
just by the beginning of this school. And how, one thing I love about it is that you are unshakable and unmovable because you know that your purpose and your call is the work that you're doing right now. And what I
Mm-hmm.
love that you said even before we came on the air is that, oh, that takes time, and you don't want that time to be taken away from what you do every single day.
Right, right. Mm-mm.
Because
People,
you're saving lives.
well, people keep asking, when are you going to write a book? And so this particular book, Breaking Barriers by Stan Littal and Tina Kelly, I wrote the afterword. This really chronicles a lot of successes of PTech. And
Okay.
it's really about breaking barriers. But I say this and I point to this because the fierce urgency of now,
Uh-huh.
with the second President Trump term,
Right.
um, the only thing that the first Trump term had in common with the second Obama term was
Uh-huh.
PTech. Was PTech.
Okay. Okay.
PTech was a common denominator
Right.
between President Obama and
Right.
President Trump. And
Okay.
so the idea of apprenticeships now with this administration wants, even though they're talking about dissolving the big picture of the Department of Education as we know it,
Right.
we now have a different set of outcomes across 8 states that were different from the first Trump administration, that
Right.
we could show the value of public-private partnerships, that we
Right.
could show skills-based paid internships in high school can help
Right.
more students remain interested, remain engaged, to see why they should complete a 2-year degree in a
Right.
high demand field. So we do have outcomes now that make the world a difference. The state of Texas have more than 300 PTechs.
Yes.
And, PTech started in New York. And so we are bipartisan. You have blue states, you have red states, you
Right.
have rural parts of the world, you have
Love
suburban
it.
parts of the world, you have urban parts of the world. And so PTech really is a public-private partnership model that I do hope every state in the nation will start to replicate.
Wow. That is absolutely awesome. I'm giving you my word, that I'm going to continue to spread your message because I've
Thank you.
already shared some information with some superintendents that I've worked with and things in the past. But people
Mm-hmm.
really have to grasp this and see what is happening. I'm here in the state of Missouri. I know there's no PTEX here,
Right.
but we can bring it in
Yes.
somewhere, some way, somehow.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's all about. So thank
Absolutely.
you. Thank you so much for the work that you're doing.
Thank
So I
you.
want to throw a question to you.
Sure.
If you had a call to action that you could share with people just here in the United States, we'll worry about the rest of the world later. But let's just look at our schools in the United States.
Sure.
What would be your call to action for the fierce urgency of now?
So on April 14th, 2025, John Fink from the Community College Research Center at Teachers College, Columbia University, released a mixed methods piece on who has access to advanced placement coursework and dual enrollment courses in your local schools.
Okay.
Everyone needs to read that because
Okay.
you can drill down state by state and actually see the percentages of students in those schools who have access to either advanced placement or
Right.
dual enrollment. And parents need to be armed with knowing who has access, but they
Right.
should also know how many students from your local high school actually complete college degrees, 2 years, 4 years in real time.
Right.
So the fierce urgency of now for public education is to be transparent about how public education actually is a springboard to post-secondary completion, not access. So
Right.
we
Right.
need to know completion rates nationwide for every high school in America. How many students earn 2 and 4 year degrees on time, or 3 or 6 years after 12th grade?
Wow, that is powerful. So two things I want you to do for me.
Sure.
When you send me, please send me the book that you held up just a few minutes ago.
Okay.
Send me that information because I
Okay.
want to make sure that our audience has that. And then I want you to send me a link to the article that you just referenced, because
Sure.
those are pieces really that I want to put in my work, so I can stay on top of things as well, but also so other people, they can have access, and not just access, but that they can take that access and put that into action.
Absolutely.
I look at it like this. Oh, that's great. So you've given me access, but if I haven't done anything with it, if I haven't gotten to the point of completion, if
That's
I
it.
haven't put it into to play, it means absolutely nothing
Right.
other than the fact that you gave me access. So
Mm-hmm.
I've got to have more than that. But knowledge is power, but it's only power when you turn the power on.
Yes.
It doesn't work unless it's on. So there's so many lessons that we can learn. And I know that this conversation, as we look at STEM, as we look at post-secondary success, as we look at
Mm-hmm.
pathways, as we look at real-world learning. I'm thinking at the Gates Foundation. I'm thinking about the
Yeah.
Wallace Foundation. I'm thinking about the Kauffman Foundation. We could go on and on and on and on and on.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many different organizations out there that realize we've got to do some things differently. So
Yes.
now what we've got to do, we've got to go in and we've got to convince our schools and our school districts that it doesn't have to look the same way.
No.
We had a perfect opportunity right after COVID.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, COVID came in and shook our world.
Yes.
And at
Mm-hmm.
that time, when COVID came in, I was a high school principal. And I know when I say I know it shook our world, it shook us down to the core.
Absolutely.
It was a perfect opportunity to do some things differently. But
Differently.
what did the majority of school districts do?
Return back to what was safe.
What was safe and what
Mm-hmm.
wasn't working to
Yes.
begin with.
Yes.
It wasn't
Well,
working. Yeah.
yeah. Well, we have to be honest, Mama J,
Uh-huh.
that failure of children keeps people employed. So we have to be honest.
Woo!
Failure of children keeps people employed, and sending
Yeah.
children beyond grade level keeps remediation departments in colleges
Right.
people employed.
Right.
So if you send students,
Wow.
already not needing college or
Woo!
college ready, remediation departments would close and some people would have to upskill and reskill. So we have
Right.
to make sure we understand that the fierce urgency of now to
Yes.
improve isn't cost effective for many people.
Right.
So we have to be honest with that, and we have to walk into rooms and not flinch, not blink, not
Right.
budge. So when I
Right.
say every single day I'm protesting every single day for those families who, like mine, were
Right.
considered low income, first generation, but I know
Right.
what's possible. And so I'm here every single day to remind people of what's possible
Woo!
and to continue to give structure and opportunity to expect completion, not just access.
Woo! I love it. I love it. Expect completion. I mean, there's been many themes. I keep writing down themes. I've got like 6 of them on a piece of paper here, but I'm telling you that expect completion, that is a different movement for children. When they hear that coming in, not
Yes.
only do we want you to come to this
Mm-hmm.
914 school,
Yes.
but the expectation is that you will complete
Yes. Now,
your associate's degree.
but Mama J, that's confusing. That's
Huh.
confusing to the student and that's
Hmm.
confusing to the parent
Huh.
because we get them in ninth grade, but for
Right.
the last 6 years of their life, because of state testing, they've been told that they're levels 1 and 2. And those levels 1 and 2 means that you won't even become a high school graduate. So
Come
we
on.
have to regain
Hmm.
the students' trust
Right.
and the parents' trust
Right.
simultaneously as we accelerate their learning. And so
Right.
sometimes, you said you're from Missouri, so the show me state
Come on now.
to many of the kids and the families,
Right.
you have to really show them the
Right.
change that you are expecting that they can make.
Right.
And so you have to show them how online tools can improve your reading levels.
Right.
And then how that reading level can, transcend to your comprehending what you read differently and so that sense of pride when you see a student actually
Mm.
earn college credits or even high school credits at a different pace than what they did middle school really becomes a game changer. And so we are
Yes.
really trying to regain parents and students trust because we
Yes.
don't do any academic screening. But if you
Right.
heard for the last 6 years of your life that you're level 1 and 2
Right.
and that you may not even graduate high school, you don't believe me that you've only met a few minutes telling you that you can complete a free 2-year college degree because
Yeah.
the system already has conditioned you to think less of
Right.
yourself.
Right. And you have to you're spending and taking the time to make the families and the students believers.
Yes.
You're showing them this is what is possible.
Yes.
And I love that, on your LinkedIn, and I said this to you before we started recording, but I love the fact that you tell your story.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just your personal story, but this is your journey of how you've transformed the lives of the students that have come to your schools. Yes. I love how you go back in time and you show valedictorians, you show students that come back and visit. Maybe they graduated, I don't know, 5, 10 years ago, and you're telling your story. Wow. And it doesn't make a difference how many times you tell it, people still need to hear it. I have to even check myself when I read about some of the information you put down. I think, oh, wait a minute, that's not 2025. Oh, that was 2015. I'm telling you, you were doing this work years before even people thought about it. That's why it was so important that I reached out to you. And when you said yes, I was like, I got it. I got it.
Thank you.
This is what people need right now. This is what they need. I mean, in their heart, in their souls, this is what we need.
My story is public education story.
Yes.
So my story is not a singular story.
Right.
It's what's possible with public education.
Right.
Education saved my life, and I know it can save the lives of so many others. And so when you say, what am I willing to disrupt? I'm willing to disrupt my own comfort.
Yeah.
Because it's not just about me. Even though, as much as you may see my face, you're only seeing my face because I'm protecting those that you can't see.
Right.
I'm a reminder of what's possible. That's it,
Woo, Lord, I'm going to have to call the ushers in, okay, and bring me a fan, because I tell you what, I don't know if I need to get some music going. I don't know. I'm telling you, this has been such just a soul-searching time today. You are the epitome of why that I know that God gave me this vision to be able to put this together and to put this platform together. I don't know if people know who you are, but I'm going to tell you what, we're going to spread this word because I want them to know who you are. I'm not trying to blow your head up, because your head doesn't need to be blown up, because you are doing the work out there every single day. But I want to throw them a life raft. I want to say, this is how you save lives. This is how you change trajectories. This is how you give hope to people. I know you see that word hope back there, and back over here it says, I will always have hope, because I don't care what it looks like. Rashid, it doesn't make me a difference what it looks like, because I know what it's looked like in my life when I was growing up and when things got hard. And I'm telling you, things were hard from the very beginning. People said, well, did your parents ever go to college? Oh, yes, they went to college. They went every day. They're the ones that were cooking. They were the ones that were scrubbing the toilets. They did all those things so that years later, I would be able to go. And, as my mama would say, that she knew I wasn't going to stop until I got that doctorate degree. But you know what? They taught me that I could do anything. Anything was possible for me. So when I walked across that stage, I walked across all those generations of my family who had never done those things. I walked across the stage for my grandfather who had a 3rd grade education. I walked across that stage for my grandfather who was born in a slave settlement outside of my hometown in Warrensburg, Missouri. I walked across that stage for my parents who were bused 60 miles a day because the color of the skin to get an education. I walked across those stages for those people who could not.
Absolutely.
And that's what we have to do. We have to stay focused. And that energy, I'm telling you what, I may have to go back and be high school principal again. Well, I'm telling you.
Absolutely. Yes.
Or either move to New York and just come be a part of P-Tech.
Listen, absolutely. We're glad to have you.
I'm telling you right now, I'm sending my monies for my P-Tech hat. So that I can put my P-Tech hat on, because I'm telling you, this is what it's about right now. This is what our schools need. This is what our families need. This is what just our world needs. This is what hope looks like in today's schools. So I thank you. I thank you for bringing hope. So does it make a difference, you talked about how the Department of Education and how they're looking at closing that down and all these different things. And I look at all the things that were just yesterday, some executive order that was signed closing down $1 billion dealing with mental health in schools. Oh my God, help my children.
Yeah.
Help my children. This is what hope looks like, and this is what help looks like. So
Yes.
Rashid, you don't know this about me, but I'm a singing woman.
Okay.
And I'm gonna tell you what, it doesn't make a difference what things look like, how dark it gets. I'm going to be the light in this dark and dismal light in this world. So I'm going to bring the hope. People criticize me. They're like, oh my gosh, here she is talking about hope again. Well, guess what? Until I have no breath in my body, I'm going to talk about hope because I know that hope is my anchor. And this is what I'm going to do. Regardless of what it looks like, how dark it gets, I'm going to let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine.
Thank you, Mama J.
Rashid Ferrod Davis, thank you. Thank you. You hear me? From the bottom of my heart for joining me today.
Thank you.